All right, how you doing, Jasmine?
Hi.
Hi, sorry about that. Couldn't get my little one quiet.
Oh, so I thought the little sound thing was like not working on my end. I like left like 3 times.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't want you to get the waiting for host message.
Okay.
My little one wants to be right here with me. You know, sometimes more is not always better. So he's home with me, and he used to do really, really good with, stepping away or being more independent. But now that I'm home all the time, he's like, well, why would we need to be apart?
Exactly. I'm just like, it's like you're here, I'm here. There's no reason for us to separate ever again.
Ever again, right? So yeah,
That's how my dog is.
look, mine too. She's a 130-pound mastiff, and she is sitting at my feet, sometimes on my feet.
Oh no.
Yes.
Bam Bam is a 7-pound chihuahua.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
He's so cute.
We are going to do our last 2 units. The recording is on, and this is really exciting. And, I hope that we're able to help not only ourselves, but the next person. All right, so we're going to do Unit 13 of Promoting Sexual Health, the Basics and Beyond. Unit 13 is Sexual Exploitation and Coercion. There are 8 sections, and we're going to work smoothly through them. All right, sexual exploitation is often unspoken about and rarely reported, making it difficult to estimate the actual prevalence rates. However, research suggests that 1 out of 4 women have been sexually assaulted at some point in their lifetime. As a sexual health promotional professional, you will likely encounter many individuals who have had experiences of sexual assault or trauma as children, teenagers, or adults. The range of stories will differ from person to person. Some may have occurred a long time ago, while others will be more recent. Although talking about sexual exploitation may be intimidating, having knowledge and tools is likely to enhance your confidence to offer the resources, care, and guidance needed. Jasmine, are you able to? Okay, I'm still screen sharing, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So when people typically think about sexual assault, they frequently conjure up images and masked strangers, dark alleys, and young, innocent, screaming women. These are the images that Hollywood has sold to us, although they may be true for some. Sexual exploitation can take many different forms. The tools provided in this chapter will help you to identify and understand several types of coercion, including sexual exploitation, sexual harassment, stalking, and sexual violence. Sex exploitation and manipulation. So if your boss offers you a promotion on the condition that you engage in sexual acts with him, is that sexual exploitation or manipulation? What do you think, Jasmine?
Isn't it both? It feels like he's being manipulative, but that's also exploitation because he's like, I think it's more manipulative because exploitation means like, don't you get monetary gain out of exploiting people?
Right. So let's go through, sis. What if you engage in sexual acts with your boss and later receive a promotion? Okay. So the answer isn't always entirely clear. Although situations are not always cut and dry, we can define situations in which someone is tricked or bribed into engaging in sex as exploitive. Okay. So if you tricked or bribed, it's exploitive. Okay. Threatening to withhold resources or do harm is aggressive and coercive. So many women experience unwanted sexual contact ranging from whistles and calls from admirers on the street to a situation described above. However, it is important to remember that it is not only a woman's issue. Men can also be the targets of sexual aggression, including rape. Now, this can be especially difficult for men because men are encouraged to share their feelings less frequently than women, forcing them to get over it before they may be ready. So Erin Andrews, a female sportscaster who was videotaped nude in her hotel room without her consent, is certainly not alone. The pervasiveness of technology today is making sexual exploitation a regular topic in the national headlines. Now, actress Jennifer Lawrence has also had her private nude images hacked and then shared online. So using and sharing sexual pictures and videos without the knowledge and consent of those in the images is a form of sexual exploitation. So cameras and recording devices are very small and readily available to most people, even in many of our cell phones. Laws vary, but in many cases, it is not illegal to photograph or videotape another adult, even with or without his or her knowledge and consent. However, it is increasingly illegal in many states to share nude or sexual images of others without their consent. Now, these laws are often called revenge porn laws, named after the fact that such images are often shared by ex-partners after a breakup or divorce as a means of getting back at a person. So this sharing can include a very widespread distribution via the internet. Some men and women enjoy taking and sharing pictures of themselves to enjoy on their own or with others. As an enjoyable and consensual activity between adults, this is not considered sexual exploitation. However, if you know someone who has been taped or the images have been distributed without their permission, try to support them by referring them to counselors, therapists, or professionally staffed hotlines. See recommended resources. Also, encourage them to check out the law in their state to see if they have legal recourse. Excuse me. Another type of sexual exploitation that can occur through technology is cyberbullying, which is sometimes utilized by adolescent females and males. The web-based gossip may or may not include sexual images and often seek to humiliate the target, often by making comments about his or her sexuality. When sexual images or ideas are shared via cell phone, it is sometimes called sexting. Now, a concept that has recently garnered a great deal of attention in the media, sexting can be an innocent and fun way to boost your sex life. However, when the shared images are of minors, the sender can be charged with trafficking of child pornography or required to register as a sex offender, even if they are themselves underage. Parents with teenagers are wise to talk to their children about how to respond to requests or pressure to share nude or sexy images of themselves with friends or partners. Now, knowing that those images could be shared widely at school or on the internet, teenagers should also be taught about potential legal repercussions. For example, the legal trouble they could get in for sharing other people's photos or for sending their own. Sexual harassment. So earlier in the chapter, you read about a situation in which a woman is offered a promotion in return for engaging in sexual activities with her boss. In addition to being exploitive, that is also frequently used example of sexual harassment. Sexual harassment includes unwelcome sex advances, requests for sexual favors, and other verbal or physical conduct of sexual nature. Sexual harassment is not just for adults. It is a form of sexual aggression that can start as early as before puberty. In fact, schools, including colleges, are right grounds for sexually harassing behavior, just as workplaces and the military. Now, there are two major forms of sexual harassment: quid pro quo, which refers to this or that situation. If you do this for me, I'll do that for you. Have a sexual affair for a salary increase, or provide sexual favors to keep your job. Then there's the hostile environment. This refers to a business, school, agency, or company that does not provide employees, customers, students, or visitors an environment free of harassment. Example, does not prevent unwelcome sex jokes, images, and innuendo. So those two major forms of sexual harassment: quid pro quo and hostile environment. Okay. Now, if you know someone who believes that he or she is a victim of sexual harassment, remind him or her that sexual harassment is a crime. You may want to provide them with the following list of suggestions. 1, many times the harasser may not realize that the sexual advances are unwelcome. So tell the harasser that they are harassing you and you want it to stop. Be sure there is no ambiguity or mixed messages in your words or your body language. 2, keep a journal or document all interactions of importance. Records of the harassment will be important if you choose to prosecute. Then you say, 3, tell friends or others you trust at the workplace or in school about the situation. Social support is always helpful, and they may be having similar experiences. 4, if harassment doesn't stop, speak with your supervisor or a human resource management contact about a formal complaint. Although some people may see this as a last resort, it should be considered if you are frightened by the harasser or are concerned that the report will put you in a jeopardizing situation. Now, if you don't get satisfaction, consider engaging a lawyer to pursue or lawsuit of the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, that is the EEOC, in your state to file a workplace complaint. So then there's also a flirtation versus harassment section. You'll want to read that just so that you can have more details about determining the difference between the two. Okay. Stalking. If someone were to call and write,
unwanted or unwelcome, it's harassment.
What did you say?
That was the way they explained it to us in high school. If it's unwanted or unwelcome, it's harassment, period.
Okay, there we go. Make it really easy, right? Yep. Okay, stalking. If someone were to call and write you an unkind or unwanted letter for a few days, how would you feel about it? What if it were for a few months? The amount of time spent engaging in the activity does not matter. Stalking is simply defined by repeated unwelcome contact with or from another person, and might include him or her seeking opportunities to observe their target. So the use of phone and cyber messaging provide additional avenues for harassing and stalking target with numerous contacts. Now, stalking can be innocent, but it can also be quite dangerous. Not all stalking includes a sexual component. So there are 3 types of stalkers. There's an intimate partner stalker, stalking that is often motivated by anger. Contrary to the popular belief that this type of stalking happens only after a relationship ends. Many in this category stalk during the relationship as well as after it ends, and some stalk only during the course of the relationship. Then you have the delusional stalker. That's the stalker who have erotomania or delusional thinking that a person or their target does or could easily love him or her. The less the stalker knows the target, the more likely the stalker suffers mental illness. Then you have a grudge stalker. That's a stalker who seeks revenge for an actual or imaged injury, usually not sexual in nature. So coworkers are an example of a potential grudge target. So you have an intimate partner stalker, delusional stalker, and a grudge stalker. So stalking is an illegal form of harassment that can cause stress and fear of escalation. If you or someone you know is faced in dealing with a stalker, consider the following actions. Say no one time and then avoid all contact after that. Keep all of your contact information private. Consider taking extra safety precautions, including getting or borrowing a dog, taking self-defense course, or carrying pepper spray or a personal alarm. You want to keep a record of all occurrences and contacts. Carry your cell phone at all times. However, make sure that you remain alert. Cell phones are great tools, but may also be a distraction. You can consider moving. If your situation warrants it, you consider filing a restraining order. You can shred all personal documents prior to disposing them. Wow, yeah, because you can have a stalker in the trash and everything, right? Then we have sexual violence. So the flashback to an image of a masked man lurking in the alley, waiting for an innocent victim, is an example of sexual violence, the most well-known form of sexual assault. Sexual aggression and sexual assault are umbrella terms that cover a range of behaviors from harassment and unwelcome touch to sadistic rape. Now, sexual assault is typically limited to including only physical violent interactions. So through the LaLumiere, Harris, and Cuisian Rice 2005 study, it found that rapes occurs more frequently when women are devalued and the outcomes of rape are perceived to be low. Both rape and fear of rape are facts of life for women. Now, rape is a sexual act that occurs without consent of both parties. There are a few different kinds of rape. So we're going to go over those definitions. A stranger rape involves an unknown assailant. Acquaintance rape. This involves an assailant who is someone known and is most common form of rape. To some degree, an element of trust is usually involved in acquaintance rape. Date rape. It is a form of acquaintance rape that happens while on a date or a social outing. Now, Fisher and colleagues in 2000 found that date rape accounts for only 13% of college rapes. And then there's gang rape. It involves a group of assailants. It may include male bonding dynamics. Men who would not otherwise rape might participate in a gang rape. Now, an intimate partner. So just recapping: stranger rape, acquaintance rape, date rape, and gang rape. Okay, now intimate partner violence is an umbrella term for violence, including sexual violence that is perpetrated by or against someone of either sex by their relational partner, intimate partner. Violence occurs in both heterosexual and homosexual relationships. Now, statutory rape involves a sexual intercourse with a person who is under the age of consent. Now, this legal age of consent varies from state to state and is typically 14 to 18 years old. This sexual interaction is illegal regardless of seeming willingness of the adolescents. So most stranger rape and some acquaintance rape is motivated by anger, characterized by physical brutality, or power characterized by dominance. A small percentage of rape is sadistic. Sadistic rape is the most brutal and is relatively rare. Incest refers to sexual interactions that occur between relatives. Although it is illegal, it is not rape if it occurs between two consenting adults. Now, unfortunately, incest often occurs between adults and minors, and that is called pedophilia. Now, adults who engage in sexual acts with minors, particularly children, are always guilty of statutory rape, even if the child consents. Non-pedophilic sexual abuse includes adult child sexual interactions that are not motivated by sexual desire. People who have been sexually assaulted as a child may have varying degrees of psychological distress as a result of the assault. It is important to refer survivors of sexual assault to the appropriate resources. Now, sexual violence is different from kinky sex, rough sex play, or referred to as sadomasochism, or S&M. In that, consensual kinky sex play involves explicit consent. And while there may be pain and or humiliation involved as a part of the erotic appeal, both parties do not surpass the comfortable limits of their partner. Many couples find it very pleasurable to engage in S&M and when it is safe and consensual. So on the side, there's a reference guide, drugs, alcohol, and sex violence. You want to read that section and how substance abuse interfaces with sexual violence, okay? Let's go to 5, and we're going to talk about consent. Now, when someone consents to sex, if they consent to oral sex, have they consented to intercourse? Now, the message that we can send may be confusing. Now, sexual scripts complicate these messages. Sexual scripts that encourage men to be aggressive and women to be passive can set the stage for miscommunication and problems in the heterosexual interactions. So in some cases of ambivalence, a female demonstrates is viewed as inviting him to persuade her to saying yes. Indeed, they both may recognize that there are penalties to her for appearing too easy. If she does want the sexual interaction to proceed, this may be perceived as a token or resistance, which is more easily ignored than true resistance. So often confusing, mixed or unclear messages can set the stage for engaging in non-consensual behaviors. As an important technique for getting clarification when one is uncertain about consent is to check it out. When someone overtly and freely agrees and says yes to sexual interactions, it is certain that they are consenting to the interactions. And remember, no always means no. So using alcohol and or drugs can greatly impact one's decision-making and communication abilities. So a significant percentage of both men and women are legally intoxicated at the time of a reported sexual assault. So being drunk or high makes it more likely to be exploited by someone and to exploit someone. That said, being intoxicated does not put the blame on the victim. The way someone dresses, the places they go or work, or choices they make do not invite or explain sexual assault. It is never okay to blame someone who has been sexually assaulted for the victimization. So just because someone might feel aroused by a sexual interaction does not imply he or she is consenting to the behavior. Now, sexual response and arousal can happen even when it is unwanted sexual advance. Now, someone can decline sexual interactions at any time with anyone, even if they have already begun to engage in sexual behaviors together. It's okay for some to change their mind, even if they have done this or other sexual behaviors with this person or someone else in the past. Everyone has the right to consent to behavior with anyone, anytime, as well as the right not to consent to anything with anyone at any time for any reason. So I thought that was really key where it says sexual response and arousal can happen even when it is unwanted sexual advance. I know that sometimes when it comes to youth, even though this happens with adults, that that mindset that I guess if they were aroused or something that they wanted that. And this is often why youth feel embarrassed or ashamed and don't reach out for help, because that's a confusing message even for them. So an interesting body of research conducted by Neil Malamuth, Mary Koss, and their colleagues has identified 4 factors that predispose men to engage in sexual coercion of women. So 1, a violent home environment. A boy who grows up in a hostile home environment has a higher likelihood of engaging in sexual aggression against women. A hostile home environment could include, but is not limited to, violence between the parents or violence towards the children in the home. 2, delinquency. Being a delinquent child is also associated with coming from a hostile home environment, but delinquency also contributes to later sexual coercion. The boy may associate with similarly delinquent peers when, I'm sorry, I lost my place. The boy may associate with similarly delinquent peers who then exacerbate the delinquent behavior and encourage hostile attitudes. 3, sexual predatory orientation. Men, particularly in the content of delinquent peer groups, often develop a heavy emphasis on sexual conquest in order to raise status and self-esteem amongst peers. Now, in this situation, coercion is sometimes used in order to achieve conquest. 4, a hostile masculine personality. The hostile masculinity defies anything feminine, such as nurturance, and emphasize power, control, and hostility. Men with this personality are more likely to engage in sexually coercive behaviors. So there's also a section here on what is consent and explaining about to freely and fully consent to sexual behavior. A person needs to do the following characteristics. So there's a list of how to consent. We went over pretty much no means no policy. Risk reduction. Sexual assault and rape is never the victim's fault. It is often not possible to avoid sexual violence. To improve your chances of avoiding acquaintance rape, consider the following. 1, meet at only at public places and events until you get to know each other better. Don't get in a car alone with someone you don't know. Be cautious, especially if the other person has a dominating personality. Share expenses so no one feels entitled to anything, because money is power. Avoid using alcohol and drugs until you know them well. Be alert, and if there is pressure, to get intoxicated. Don't use ambiguous verbal or nonverbal communication when declining sexual advances. Be explicit in saying no. If an assault commences, resist vehemently and create a loud disturbance. Now, to improve your chances of avoiding stranger rape, please consider the following. Never hitchhike. Don't identify yourself as living alone. Don't open your home or car door to strangers. Avoid dark and isolated areas. Run away if you are approached by a threatening person or are in a threatening situation, and carry a personal alarm device. Now here, there is good touch and bad touch. There's a great book reference down bottom. This is the traditional approach to teaching children about sexual assault and has relied on the notion of good touch, bad touch. This concept can sometimes be confusing to children since bad touch does oftentimes feel good. Parents and caregivers can help children stay safer by teaching these things. So there's a list here, and it may be a great book that you would share if you have children, or you may even want to have in your library as you help others. And it's called Your Body Belongs to You. Okay, so we are on 7, long-term effects of sexual coercion. Although there may be some healing after being sexually victimized, many women still experience long-term effects of sexual coercion. Each individual reacts and heals from this type of experience very differently. So you may encounter clients who are very well adjusted and can talk openly with ease about their experience. However, you could just as easily encounter clients who outwardly express the long-term scars that a sexual assault has branded with them. Researchers and clinicians have found that long-term effects include the following. There's depression, self-destructive tendencies, somatic disturbances and disassociation, negative self-concept, interpersonal relationship difficulties, re-victimization, and sexual problems. So offering support. As you are doing your work as a sexuality educator, you will, without doubt, interact with those who have experienced sexual aggression or rape. Now, in your role, you can be an important frame of reference for the facts about these topics. Now, knowing that sexual assault is too common and never the victim's fault is key to people's experience with assault. So be sensitive to the fact that in most groups, there will be individuals who will have been victimized and perhaps those who have victimized others. Acknowledge that some sexual interactions are forced and pleasure and intimacy are not themes for those situations. It is a sad fact that for too many, especially among groups of women, recalling sexual memories and history is not a completely positive experience. We can honor and recognize this aspect of our diversity and invite everyone with whom we interact to take care of themselves in terms of their physical and emotional needs. Now, when your message or your work includes messages about violence, warn your group in advance and invite them to step out or tune out if necessary. It is helpful to keep some pamphlets as well as the websites and phone numbers for referrals on hand. While educators are not equipped to provide counseling, it is essential to link those in need with helping professionals who can provide a therapeutic response when doing so. Excuse me. Affirm for the person that their experiences are valid, that sexual aggression is not okay and not their fault, and that there are professionals who may be of help. Try to remember that it is not only the type of assaults that vary. Victims of sexual assault will differ in the ways that they talk about and react to their experiences. It is difficult to know what is best for everybody, but do your best to be sensitive to these differences. While some people have no long-term effects from the assault, some victims may have a long and arduous healing process. Regardless of the reaction, most sexual assault victims will eventually overcome or incorporate their assault, living healthy sexual lives full of desire, arousal, and lots of sexual pleasure. And then they have suggestions for rape survivors. And of course, this is our site is great for resources and references to help you when you want to know more about this content or reference the information that is provided. Okay, so now we're going to take a quick look at the interactive activities now that we know that there's such a key part of completing this course. So activity 1, it says wantedness and consent of sex. So they want you to type in your responses in the boxes below. So it says agreeing to or consenting to sex is often associated with wanting sex, and not agreeing to or not consenting to sex is associated with not wanting sex. So sometimes this can be a difficult to internally negotiate. Now, can you think of situations where individuals may want to have sex but may not want to consent to it? Can you think of situations where individuals may not want to have sex but may consent to it? So take time to reflect on how you make sense of the issues of wantedness and consent. Do you see these two things as independent or somehow related? And then you explain your position. Once you type that text in the box, you always want to click save my answer, and then you hit next. There's a second portion. It says sexual assault, abuse, and rape are very difficult situations to deal with for both individuals who have been assaulted or abused and for those who are close to that person. Now, what are some local resources in your area that you might be able to provide someone you know who has experienced an assault or sexual abuse? Visit one of the locations. What are the, so you want to list those local resources. Visit one of these locations and discuss the resources and support that they might provide. Would you recommend this site to someone you know that has been assaulted or abused? If there are no local resources in your area related to assault or abuse, please identify the one is the closest to you, and then call a hotline to identify and write about the types of resources they recommended. So they really want to find out what you can find. All right, and then the third section, it says it is often difficult to know what to say to someone who tells you they have experienced a sexual assault or been sexually abused. Now imagine someone close to you who comes and tells you this. Now write out a script for how you might reply. What are the important factors that you want to make sure you include? Why is it important to include these things? Remember, we want to make sure the victim is not at fault. So we want to make sure our language, our verbiage does not imply that or say that directly. And so that would be one of the things you would include. But you're just going to write a nice little script out. Okay. So we're going to go ahead to the quiz. Everybody with me?
Yes.
All right, we hanging in there.
Yes.
But not mad. This is not bad. This is like really good information. We can help ourselves and others, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, good. So we have number 1. Now, sexual relations between an adult and a minor are legal if the minor consents. True or false?
False.
False. Not okay, right? Most victims are assaulted by someone that they know. True or false?
True.
Yes, so common, unfortunately. 3, sexting is never a good idea. True or false?
True. True.
Well, it would be false because it says sexting can bring a lot of flavor to your relationships. However,
Yeah, it could.
you know, if it's
Not for mine.
safe and consensual, and you want to make sure that if there's imaging or things like that, that you know, you're accountable, right? That could be the same person get mad at you and share it, right? So it can be great, but not always, right? 4, most sexual assault victims will eventually have healthy sexual lives. True or false?
That's kind of hopefully, but I would say false. I don't know why.
Well,
they gotta be really strong-minded.
the wording, you know,
I would say most. Okay, so true. Yeah, most
So-
of them will, but most of them won't.
there's many who do not, right? That they don't
Yeah.
have sexually healthy lives, but they
Right.
also don't want to give you the perception that, hey, if you were one of those people that were a victim, yeah, you're pretty much messed up. Most of the time you don't recover. You know, we want to
Right.
we want to look at it like, yes, you can have a sexually healthy life, but I don't care for the wording on that question, you know, myself. Just my opinion.
So it's true.
So right,
Yes.
it's true that most sexual assault victims will eventually have a healthy sexual life. 5, sexual scripts that encourage men to be aggressive and women to be passive can set the stage for miscommunication and problems in heterosexual interactions. True or false?
True.
Yes, so true. It happens, right? Okay. 6, sadistic rape is the most brutal rape, and it is quite common.
False.
Right, false. It is not the most. It's not quite common.
I'm gonna mute my mic because I'm at work and they hitting them boxing glove bags,
Oh.
and y'all probably can hear that.
I didn't, but go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay,
But thank
okay.
you for being with us. Yes, I love it. 7, it is unlikely that you will ever know a victim of sexual assault. True or false?
True.
True.
Right.
Just unlikely that, yeah.
Well, let me see. It said it is unlikely that you'll ever know. That would be false. It's more likely that you'll know a victim of sexual assault because it's common.
Oh,
You see it is where it asks, is it unlikely that you will ever know a victim of sexual assault? It's going to be false.
It's likely that you will never know.
Right.
You're right. Okay.
Right. They was getting us. See, they did these true and false so we could flip through, and then it was like, well, we're gonna switch the words up a little bit.
they flipped the script.
They did, because I looked at it like, wait a minute. Okay, so sexual assault inflicted by more than one perpetrator is called group rape, gang rape, crowd rape, or pack rape.
Gang rape.
Gang. So the good thing is we didn't go over any of those other 3. Gang rape. All right. 9, if a stalker is seeking revenge, they are referred to as a intimate partner stalker, a delusional stalker, a grudge stalker, or an angry stalker.
Grudge stalker.
Yes. Let's go to grudge stalker. So 10, which of the following is not a necessary component of consent? knows what the sexual behavior involves, is able to choose whether or not to engage in that particular behavior with a particular person at a particular time in a particular place, understands his or her own feelings about engaging in a particular behavior with a particular partner at a particular time and place, or is guaranteed that the sexual behavior will turn into a committed monogamous relationship. What is not necessary component of consent?
The first one.
Well, you need, for consent, you definitely need to know what the sexual behavior involves, because you can't consent to something you don't know what's going on. So we're gonna go with the last one,
What was the
because
question?
what is not a necessary component of consent?
D.
So the last option where it says is guaranteed that sexual behavior will turn into a committed monogamous relationship. You might request that of a partner, but that is not what determines if you consenting to that sexual activity.
Yeah, just get it right.
But the other things are. Hold on. Okay, so the other things are things that you need to consent to some type of activity, okay? You definitely want to know what the sexual behavior involves. You want to be able to choose whether or not to engage. You want to make sure you understand your own feelings about that engagement. So you definitely want that before you say yes, because yes is yes and no means no. So 11, if you are raped, which of the following should you not do? Should you not call the police? Should you not call a support network? Should you not douche? And should you not get tested for a STI?
You shouldn't douche.
You shouldn't
not-
douche because that gets rid of the
Yes, do.
The
DNA.
evidence and DNA and things. Yes, you should not douche.
They usually request that if you need to go get a test, then they want you to like not urinate and not defecate because it can also get rid of evidence. So
Okay, which of the following would place flirtation in the harassment category? An equal power dynamic, a friendly approach, a forward approach, or none of the above?
A forward approach.
Yes, a forward approach. Okay, now 13, a situation where someone says, I'll give you blank if you do blank is called what? Is that called a hostile environment? Is that called quid pro quo, bribery, excuse me, or coercion?
Bribery.
So quid pro quo is I'll give you blank if you do blank.
Okay.
Okay. That was my first choice, but I guess I can pick up.
Yeah, quid pro quo is a deal. Just look at it like that. What's the deal?
I thought
Okay.
I was gonna say border.
Yes. Okay, 14. An adult engages in consensual sex with a minor. This adult would be guilty of what? Is it situation rape, sexual violence, statutory rape, or it depends on the situation?
Statutory rape.
statutory rape.
That's correct. And last one, all of the following are suggestions about what to do if you are sexually assaulted, except this one thing. What is it? Is it do not wash, change your clothes, or comb your hair? Is it do not seek medical, except for these things, seek medical help and make sure that any injuries are documented. Think about reporting the assault to the police, or do not talk to anyone about the assault. Yeah. So all of them are good suggestions except that last one. Do not talk to anyone about the assault.
It's crazy how we give them numbers A, B, C, D like it's on there. It's just-
Right. That's how we categorize it. Like, yes. Oh, right.
You put A, you put D.
Oh, wait.
You ain't trying to get nothing wrong, Queen.
Right. Okay, wait. All of the following are suggestions about what to do if you are sexually assaulted, except for this one. So yeah, all the ones are good. Don't wash or change your clothes, seek medical help, and
Oh yeah.
think
Okay.
about reporting it. But this last one, don't talk
do
to
not talk to
anyone.
them. Yeah,
That
you
ain't
don't
no
talk to
good
them.
idea, right?
Yeah.
Right. We don't want to suggest that. Okay, we ready?
Yeah.
All right. We got 1 correct, 2 correct, 3 correct, 4 correct, 5 correct, 6 correct, 7 correct, 8 correct, 9 correct, 10 correct, let's see, 11 correct, 12 correct, 13 correct, 14 correct, and 15. 15 out of 15, you can get 100, ladies. All right. Does anybody else have their text up?
I did.
What?
Yeah, do you have the chapter up? I need someone to read just for a couple minutes. If you only knew what I had going on, and I'll share it at another time, but I'm an emergency contact and I got a call. All I need is like 1 minute just to see what's going on. So that we can go into 14, sexuality and consumerism.
I would, but I'm on my phone.
You on
I
your
don't have
phone?
mine up. Because
You don't have it?
I'm not even caught up to 14 yet.
Okay, hold on 1 second then, y'all. Hold on, I'm gonna pause the recording. Give me just
Okay.
I can't
like a whole minute.
read the paragraph you got up.
I know, but it's gonna run out, right? Yes,
And
thank
been
you.
And they
so
said,
long.
we were saying they feel like grade school when they say, Hannah, can you read that paragraph for me? And be like, oh.
This is a little practice, okay?
I'll read the
I mean,
next
I like reading,
paragraph
but
if you don't want to feel alone.
Okay. All right. So we're on sex in the media now.
yes.
Okay. So sex in the media, I got the recording back on, okay? TV and magazines. Television. Sexual references on television are commonplace during all viewing hours. Now, only in recent years has sexual content in shows been completed by ads for condoms and contraception products. So still, consistent and high-profile advertising opportunities and venues for products and information to promote sexual health and well-being are lacking, especially on major networks during prime time. Now, when condom companies may not even be allowed to advertise. Often, scenes with sexual content fail to include discussions about safer sex, let alone model practicing safer sex. Even so, rarely do potential consequences of unprotected intercourse get raised as an issue for consideration or concern. Unrealistic expectations about love and relationships and having it all can provide some unhelpful models to viewers. So sexual content on TV can have both positive and negative effects. For example, by portraying or alluding to sexuality. Viewers learn that sexuality is a common part of many people's lives. Sometimes it causes stress, and other times it is linked with pleasure, enjoyment, couples connections, or procreation, meaning like making a baby. Over the past decades, more TV shows have included gay and lesbian characters. Although some shows have included stereotypical gay characters, something that the original version of Queer Eye and Straight Guy was criticized for early on. So now there's other TV shows such as 6 Feet Under, Dear White People, Modern Family, Glee, American Crime Story, Black Lightning, Grace and Frankie, among others. And they have included more diverse characters who identify as gay, lesbian, bisexual, etc. In addition, many networks and television executives are joining the call to include messages and images about sexuality that are healthy, helpful, and positive, that promote family planning and the use of effective contraception, including condoms.
Probably sent no pictures of the damn show.
So magazines. Popular magazines have mixed relationships to messages about health, and on one hand, they are effective tools to promote ideas about beauty, as well as market the products that promise to enhance beauty. Magazines targeting teens and adult women especially can have a negative impact on readers' self-esteem. Now, due to messages about how women should look, many readers fail to remember that images are computer enhanced and sometimes completely computer generated. So it's true that images are not a realistic idea, and they sometimes aren't even real. So images and messages portrayed in magazines teach us how to look and act and be who we want to be. And many important elements of this involve our sexual beingness. Magazines can reinforce roles and expectations by framing stereotypical interests and commonalities amongst groups to inform the readers about how they are supposed to be. And this serves to further market the magazine and the products advertised inside. This can be seen as in magazines that target women and teens, and in magazines that focus on sports or hip hop cultures as examples. So most sports magazines target male readers and are filled with ads that support traditional views about masculinity as positive for males. In addition to messages regarding attractiveness and body image that can be found in magazines, there is a diverse and plentiful amount of information about many sexuality topics. Now, these messages are both implicit and is the case of advertising images and explicit, and is the case of advertising for such products as Gardasil or the vaccine for HPV or contraception options. So sometimes the accessibility of magazines for young or other readers can make this essential outlet for sexual health information. Many magazines carry articles about addressing sexual concerns on topics that range from improving your relationship or achieving orgasm, preventing or dealing with reproductive health concerns like cervical or breast cancer. Some research has found that young women who read women's magazines may be more knowledgeable about important sexual health topics, such as sexually transmissible infections, including HPV, as well as birth control methods, than women who do not read such magazines. Now, I'm not going to read all of this, each section for section, because we are going to get through the content, but music and radio. Now, music is an art form that demonstrates the progressive evolution in how sexual messages are expressed in ways that have moved from subtle to overt. Now, this is true for both song lyrics and artists, persona, and performances. Now, consider the media frenzy around the sexuality portrayed decades ago by Elvis and Ed Sullivan Show. Now, the TV cameras showed Elvis from waist up only to protect young women from the supposed evils of gyrating pelvis. In the 80s, Madonna pushed the envelope further with her provocative costumes, sexy dance, and later by publishing her book titled Simply Sex and featuring Madonna nude. Now we got Lady Gaga, right? Today, explicit song lyrics and artists with styles that rely heavily on overt sex appeal, such as Lady Gaga and Rihanna, oh, my bad, are common. Music videos provide a perfect venue for combining the lyrical music message with sexual imagery to sell the song and the artist. Themes that combine violence and sexuality are also common in music videos.
Haven't we seen that picture already?
Right, in another chapter, right?
Okay, picture.
Hey, I don't know what they was doing. Okay, so it talks about radio influences, talk Radio serves to normalize feelings, ideas, and experiences among those that sometimes feel isolated. So hearing a question from a listener on a call in a talk show can be the first and only indication that others share your experience, and there is perhaps information and support available that had been previously unknown. Talk radio hosts from Lush Limbaugh and Howard Stern have historically pushed the line of decency and obscenity while providing public platform to diverse ideas on current issues that often include sexuality topics. All right. Throughout history, various art media have depicted very diverse sexual interactions. From pottery paintings and sculptures have depicted any number of sexual behaviors. Love and romance has inspired countless volumes of poetry, novels, and artworks. Erotic sexuality and more explicit sexual images have long been an important thread in artistic expression of all forms as well. So the Kinsey Institute of Research in Sex, Gender, and Reproduction houses a particularly expansive collection of art and artifacts that span outside of years and illustrate how sexuality in women and men's bodies were thought of throughout many different cultures and time periods. So the internet and apps. Now the internet offers an ever-expanding range of ways that people can use to learn about experiences or express sexuality. Now, online dating sites provide new forums in which people can meet or make the plans for romantic dates or sexual hookups. There are also dating hookup apps like Tinder, Bumble, Grindr, and Scruff that people use to either just look, browse for their own sexual interests, for arousal, for fantasy, or to actually meet people for real, for real life dating, and for hooking up. Social network sites such as Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat also allow for people to meet while simultaneously being a primary way that many people maintain contact with a former partner or learn about someone they have just started to date or become involved with by pursuing their photos, their wall posts, and other parts of their Facebook page. Who's guilty of that? So here, this kind of goes through the different ways that people use the internet. So anything from finding Facebook groups, you can find sexual health professionals on there. There's blogs that you can find through the internet, and some other content that you all can read on your own. So sex sells, or does it? Advertising. Regardless of the medium, it is saturated with sexual imagery. Simply said, sex sells. People respond to sexually attractive images. The nature of advertising is to constantly push the limits of what is acceptable. There is deliberate edginess to the sexual imagery presented in much advertising and marketing messages. And in advertising, demand is to outdo what was done before. So it will no doubt continue to spiral towards progressive, more sexualized images and messages. Inherent in the sexual messages popular in advertising are: their product or service will get you the ideal partner in relationship, or you will be unsuccessful in your efforts to get the ideal partner in relationship without the product or service. Erotica is a material that is used sexually explicit images. Erotic art is generally thought of in a positive regard to community standards. Pornography is typically more hardcore. It's explicit and perhaps vulgar. Some pornography includes violent images. Personal taste varies greatly, and what one might consider erotic, another might deem pornographic. So mainstream pornographic videos have historically been produced by men for male viewers. Now, this gender bias has resulted in an unrealistic and unhelpful dichotomy between good girls, who are not sexually exploitative and playful, and vixens, those women who have fun and enjoy sex. Of course, women are more complex than that, and most women exist somewhere in between, or may enjoy pretending to be innocent in one moment and racy and vixen like the next. In fact, an enjoyable aspect of sexuality for many women and men is that sex offers us all the chance to try on different identities with or without dressing up or role playing. As of 2002, magazines such as Playboy, Penthouse, and Hustler were among the most well-circulated magazines in the United States, selling more than 5 million copies. However, with the increasing use of the internet to explore sexually explicit material, especially since it is literally right at your fingertips. Now, these rates significantly declined in some of the stopped selling paper versions of their magazines, turning instead to online content. Let me see. So how does sexuality relate to overall health and well-being? There's a reason that there's an industry related to sexuality and sexual well-being. Aspects about one's sexuality are directly related to one's quality of life. A good sex life is a valuable commodity that people oftentimes place great value on. Health benefits of sexual expressions can include happiness through improved self-esteem and decreased stress, longevity and prolonged life, immunity increases, improved sleep and more youthful appearance, pain management for migraines and muscle relaxation, improved reproductive functioning, relationship stability, and less psychiatric illness, depression, and suicide. Ooh, the benefits of sex. Who likes that? The real indication of the mainstream efforts to improve sexual well-being is in the sexual enhancement products industry. That's why we're in the business, ladies. Retail shops and strip malls, websites, and in-home parties all allow greater comfort with and access to sexual enhancement products. These products and services can be beneficial to individuals' relationships. Although once stigmatized, it is now common to see sexual enhancement products such as vibrators on television and as gifts at a bridal shower. Now, our ability to clearly demonstrate the benefits to total health and well-being when one's sexual health is attended to create a rich opportunity for promoting information, products, skill, and techniques that can enhance personal sexual well-being. As a result, a vast market has developed for erotic, self-help, and how-to manuals and aids that are marketed to single women as men, as well as those who are in relationships. So exchanging money or goods for sex. So there's a lot of disagreement about which sexual interactions constitute having sex. So it is no surprise that we won't always agree across the board on what constitutes paying for sex. Consider also what qualifies as personal currency can extend well beyond money and include favors and influence someone can provide as well. So this is an activity here, so you're gonna have to participate with me. I don't think this one has a right or wrong. We just got to put some answers in here. So we have to indicate whether or not you consider each of the interactions listed below are sex for money. Now assume that each of these is non-coercive and fully consensual adult interactions. That means they're not forced or pressured. So pay for a kiss from someone at a fundraiser at a community fair. Is that sex for money? Yes or no?
No.
Okay, we're gonna go no.
No.
I'm putting whatever. We doing the activity. Y'all tell me. Spend an evening buying food, and it says dink, but it's supposed to be drink at a topless bar or Chippendales bar. Yes or no?
Yes.
Is that sex for money?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Pay for an expensive dinner and date expecting that this will entitle you to ask for sex at the end of the evening. Yes or no?
That's a yes.
Yes.
Okay. Seems like that's a little entitlement involved, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Buy or accept.
right now.
Right. Okay. Buy or accept an engagement ring so you can get married and start having sex. Sex for money?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Buy an erotic magazine and masturbate to the pictures. Is that sex for money?
No.
No. But
Yeah.
it's funny.
I'm gonna say no, no, but
That's funny.
pay to rent
It's
a
still sex, but it's still sex. You paid for it.
pay to rent a triple X movie and masturbate to the images. About the same, right? But yes or no?
No.
You said no to
Yes.
the magazine,
No.
so I would say that's a no too.
Right. Visit a free sexually explicit website and pay for the internet service and masturbate to the images. Sex for money?
No.
I
No.
would say yes because you're paying for the.
Paying for the
The
service?
Wi-Fi.
Right.
We're gonna see. I don't know what they want us to do
Yeah,
right
that
here.
means yeah.
Okay, visit and pay a fee to access a sexually explicit website. Wasn't that the same as the one above? Okay,
They
visit
all
a
about the
free.
I think so.
Okay, so one is a free sexually explicit website, and the next one is visit and pay a fee to access the sexually explicit website.
They're trying to
Yes.
confuse it.
I think it's about the same. It's still yes.
Okay, I'm gonna do a yes on that one. Okay. Pay for a non-sexual message with the intent of getting aroused. Stay that way for the duration of the, I said message, sorry. Pay for a non-sexual massage with the intent of getting aroused. Stay that way for the duration of the massage and masturbate afterwards.
No.
That makes you creepy.
Thank you.
I think your screen is kind of
So
zoomed in.
creepy.
Huh?
It kind of zoomed in.
Y'all can't see it good?
Well, I can see it, but it's like zoomed in somehow.
Oh no, mine is doing normal size. I don't know.
Maybe it's your phone.
What you doing on the phone?
Maybe pinch it down.
Can you change the orientation, turn it sideways? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe you'll see it all. Okay. Pay to have a stripper dance at a party.
What was the answer to that one? Above
Say
it.
no, that's
I'm
entertainment.
gonna say no because it's not sex for money, but it's sexual activity. I mean, it's stripping. A stripper ain't having intercourse, but I don't know.
Find what counts as sex before we answer these questions.
What'd you say?
We need to
We
know
need to
the
define
definition.
what counts before we answer these questions because none of this is leading to intercourse.
Well, that's the activity. They didn't give us all of that before we started. They're like, what constitutes as sex for money? You know? See in the intro.
It's creepy. Somebody should be arrested.
Yeah, so they're just trying to prove a point to us. Like it kind of depends on how you look at it, but they're gonna give us some more definitions. So call and pay a phone sex line and masturbate while someone talks to you. Sex for money, yes or no?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Pay
Yeah.
someone for oral, anal, or vaginal contact that includes penetration.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely, right? So what are
Clear
the
answer.
criteria? So now they're asking us the question, what are the criteria you use to decide what is sex for money? What we saying? What do we use?
Oh, we answer that.
Yeah.
Sexual and pay.
You paid for it.
Stick it on the nightstand. No, I'm just playing.
Well, see, that's why they gave different examples. Where some was, okay, you getting a massage, but you really getting a massage you can get off. Did they pay? Was it sex for money? Or what did we use to decide that, oh, maybe no, that's not sex for money because the intent on that one was you just being creepy, but the person providing that service wasn't necessarily
Was not aware. He was
right.
not a
they're-
willing participant. She or
Okay.
he was not a willing participant, which leads into some kind of, isn't it coercive fetishism
Okay.
or
So one of the criteria we used to decide what a sex for money was whether or not they were consensual activities, mutually consensual, right?
yes.
Okay, so that's one. And so they did this activity so you can think about it. So are your responses the same for the general public as they are for you or your partner? Now, online pornography among the most profitable areas of e-commerce. Now, the advent of for a fee phone and cyber sex has blurred the lines between prostitution and pornography. Now, if you can pay someone on a screen or the other end of the phone line to interact with you sexually, are you accessing a sex worker? If your avatar pays for sex in cyber world,
Yes.
like Second Life, using Linden dollars, which you exchange for real cash, have you paid for sex?
Yes.
What?
Yes. Right.
Right. So there are many reasons people engage in prostitution or become sex workers. Now, the reasons include, one, it can be fun. The money can be very good, and sometimes it is simply a means of survival. Thus, the emergence of the term survival sex worker to refer to some of these individuals. Although the reasons for engaging in sex work vary greatly. There are some commonalities, and this is key, it's going to be on our quiz, so y'all get ready. There are some commonalities between some sex workers. So for example, in 2003, Dollar found that family discord and dysfunction frequently set the stage for women's entry into the sex work. Many male prostitutes, like female prostitutes, get involved with sex work because they come from families troubled by conflict, alcoholism, and or physical or sexual abuse. Now, other research has found that male sex workers describe making money or sexual pleasure and other positive impacts on their sex as among the benefits of working in the sex world. Many young sex workers have left home due to violence or abuse, and many have been put out due to their sexual orientation or sexual identity. There are a variety of different types of prostitution, like what it looks like and venues for doing the work and accessing sex workers. Female, male, and transgender sex workers have a very different experience from one another. This diversity can be based on who the individual is, the context of the sex work, and what circumstances have motivated the experience. Now, escort services present a major way sex workers are accessed currently. It is not illegal to pay for someone's company, and many agencies do not formally limit what happens between the adults during the escort date or session. If you want to do more than just watch, that's your business. Okay. In some parts of the world, children are forced to work as sex workers. This has created a subculture called sex tourism, where people, mostly men, travel specifically to access sex workers otherwise not available to them. It is illegal for Americans to travel to other countries, to have sex with children. Americans can be returned to America and prosecuted for this. Globally, sex trafficking is a tragic problem that is a result of devastating poverty and sexist cultural standards that treat girls and women as property. That said, it is important not to stigmatize or shame people of their experiences in sex work. For some people, sex work is an empowering choice. For others, it is a part of a traumatic history. In 2018, a study found that therapists' judgments and biases about sex work can get in the way of providing quality care for their clients who are or have been involved in sex work. Like so many other areas of sexuality, it is important for us to examine our own judgments, biases, and stereotypes so that we can interact with others with respect, care, and compassion. So we're going to go over reasons for using sex workers. Okay, we got 4 more sections. We're doing pretty good. Okay. Though there are a variety of reasons that someone may seek out a sex worker to satisfy their sexual needs, researchers have agreed on 6 of the most common reasons. 1, sex without negotiation. Some folks don't want to spend the time, effort, or money involved in dating and getting to know someone to obtain sex. Therefore, pursuing a sex worker is an attractive option for them. 2, sex without commitment. A sex worker will not call anyone at home or expect a return phone call and require no commitment aside from a payment at the end of the activity. This is desirable for some folks. 3, sex for eroticism and variety. Many sex workers may offer something exotic or kinky that is not likely to be obtained in another setting, such as oral sex, S&M rituals, and when these acts are desired but cannot be attained from regular partners, sex workers are a viable option as a place to turn to. 4, prostitution as sociability. Historically speaking, sex work was used as a form of social contact, and at times, sex was secondary to the companionship and conversation that could be found in brothels. 5, sex away from home. The most common customer for a sex worker is the traveling worker who is away from home for long periods of time. This is a natural, convenient way to satisfy sexual needs and desires during these times. And then problematic sex. If someone has difficulty attracting other partners, such as people with physical disabilities or disfiguration conditions, sex workers are often sought out as an alternative source of sexual pleasure. Also, fear of rejection and loneliness are commonly stated reasons for turning to sex workers. See, I got those 6 reasons down pat. So, sex and obscenity. Now, all areas of media have had controversies about what might be deemed unacceptable and offensive content and material. Clearly, deciding what constitutes art and what is determined to be obscene is very personal. Determinations are based on whether a piece has artistic merit and whether a reasonable person would deem it offensive. The difficulty comes in who is deemed reasonable. However, these labels can be useful and have their place. Labels to rate content in music, movies, and video games help parents and consumers make judgments about who might best access what in terms of development appropriateness and personal taste. So we got ratings, PG, G, So American parents have a long history of trying to protect children from sexual imagery and information. Now, the 24/7 availability of any and everything imageable via the World Wide Web underscores the irrationality of this goal. We don't exactly know the impact of having opened the floodgates to information about sexuality to all who have internet access. So concerns about young people accessing sexually explicit websites include concerns that, 1, they'll perceive the images and people as real depictions and not fantasized or idealized as many are. The wide variety of net-based images will dull their senses and lead them to seek increasingly shocking images. Safer sex is relatively rare. Providing unhelpful models for real-life situations and relationships, parents and institutions lose the ability to be primary sexuality educators of children. Those are some of the reasons. Okay, so in fact, parents remain the primary sexuality educators of their children, and carry solid responsibility for monitoring and supervising their children's internet use. Now, social networks and chat rooms can pose dangers in young people and that do not take precautions. So never give identifying information about who they are or where they live, go to school, or will be at a certain time. Never arrange to meet someone in real life who they met online without involving a parent or a caretaker. Never post pictures of themselves or comments that sexualize who they are. Now, parents' filters are available to help parents limit internet and television access. However, nothing can replace parents being available to discuss images and information. So in America, except for in some parts of Nevada, it is illegal to sell sex. While one can access someone's company, as is the case with escorts, or have other hands-on interactions with dancers or strippers, it is illegal in most places to exchange money for oral, anal, or vaginal intercourse. Both sex workers and customers are prosecuted. Coyote, Call Off Your Old Tired Ethics, is a sex workers union of sorts that works to improve working conditions for sex workers and decriminalize prostitution. I had never heard of that organization. Child pornography.
I think it's in Vegas, isn't it?
What did you say?
I think that's in Vegas, isn't it?
Okay. Call Off Your Old Tired Ethics. Okay. Child pornography.
Then the bunny ran.
Right, is illegal everywhere in the United States. Possessing sexually explicit images of children from websites or on personal computers is an example of illegal possession. Now, these images are easily accessed and promoted on the internet, and caution should be used to screen and weed all unsolicited advertisement, which are sexually explicit. All right, last two. Careers in sexuality, research, direct care, and education. Sexual health promotion is a key aspect of individual, community, and societal well-being. Clearly, all multidimensional approach to promoting sexual health will reap the best results. So parents, teachers, spiritual leaders, healthcare providers, and all those who otherwise work in our communities have an important role in promoting sexual health. In addition, there are many professions that focus specifically on human sexuality, and some of those include a sexologist, which is a researcher. Sexology is the scientific study of sex, and under this larger umbrella term fall many areas of scientific study and focus. Within the larger universe of research scientists in the world, some focus their work in areas related to sexuality. This research occurs within several academic disciplines. Now, continuing access to scientific data about all aspects of sexuality is essential toward realizing a sexually healthy society. The World Congress on Sexology and the Science of the Society for the Scientific Study of Sex are two professional organizations in this area. Now, because it is unusual for schools to offer degrees in sex or sexology, those who wish to study this area are perhaps best advised to choose a field of study that interests them, such as psychology, public health, social work, or sociology.
Yep.
And then study, right, sexuality from that perspective. All right.
And here I am.
Yeah, here you are, right, Jasmine? Yay! All right, sex counselors, therapists, and coaches. Sexual dissatisfaction and relationship problems can best be addressed by professionals who are grounded in a solid knowledge base about sexuality, occasional peer review, and clarity about ethic guidelines for their role. It is not unusual for licensed or certified sexual workers, counselors, and therapists to generally not have expertise specific to sexuality. Unfortunately, many have had almost no training in sexuality topics or interactions. However, some schools and programs do offer specific training in sexuality. Those who are interested in working as a sexuality counselor or therapist would be well advised to seek out such a program. In addition, sex coaching is a relatively new area that facilitates life shifts in areas that limit sexual well-being. The American Association of Sexuality Educators, Counselors, and Therapists, or AASECT, and the International Coach Federation are their professional organizations. So then there's doctors trained in sexuality, doctors who specialize in gynecology, genital surgery, reproductive endocrinologists, urologists, and psychiatrists who counsel in sexual abuse, gender identification, sexuality are among the list of practice medical doctors whose specialty area is sex related. Now, unfortunately, many medical doctors, have not had specific training in sexuality issues. However, a growing number of medical schools are recognizing the need to add such information to their curriculum. Now, you can learn more about sexual medicine providers who specifically have interest in or expertise in women's sexual health. Sexuality educators. Facilitating lifelong learning about sexuality can be fulfilling work. Helping students access accurate information and learn important skills can take on many forms and happen at a variety of venues. So there's schools, homes, community-based healthcare organizations, social clubs, and places of worship can all be locations for sexuality educators to work. Peer educators take sexuality information and sometimes health services and products to Indigenous communities that can include college and high school campuses, neighborhoods, and African American salons and barbershops. AASECT is the professional organization focused on sexuality education for those who are interested in learning more about sexuality education or who are interested in becoming an AASECT certified sexuality educator. All right, last one, careers in sexuality, meeting the needs of consumers. Although sexually transmissible infections, HIV, and unintended pregnancy are important sexual health topics, they are not the only topics that women have questions about. In fact, most adults have questions about sexuality topics such as pleasure, orgasm, oral sex, vaginal sex, anal sex, G-spots, choosing lubricants, and using vibrators. In order to address these more pleasure and behavior specific questions and concerns, a wider range of sexual health promotion professionals are needed, including professionals whose career necessitates that they have expertise in sexual enhancement products, and that way that women and men live their sexual lives. There are many types of consumer products that are related to sexuality or sexual health and that are available to adults that are relevant to these topics. Examples of these type of products may include condoms, lubricants, vibrators, dildos, books about sex and films, or DVDs about sex. These products can be accessed through drugstores, retail chains, healthcare providers, sex therapists, sexual health educators, health clinics, adult bookstores, the internet, and in-home sex toy parties. There are various reasons why people may seek out condoms, lubricant, and sexual enhancement products and explicit images or films. And these products can enhance one's sexual experience alone or with others, inform folks about aspects of their own sexuality and sexual response, assist with sexual functioning at various life and relational stages, and serve to normalize sexual desires and preferences when one learns others enjoy similar things sexually. She looks happy, right? Though at a first glance, some might see these individuals as salespeople, and indeed they are selling products, a growing body of research has demonstrated that these women and men have the potential to serve a highly valuable role as a sexual health promotion for professional and/or sex educator in their community. For example, Herbenick and Reese found that there is a number of teachable moments involved in the questions women ask in their adult retail stores. Providing the retail worker has the sexuality education skills necessary to facilitate learning, this can be an incredibly valuable experience for the shopper. This finding has been mirrored for in-home sex toy parties as well. Fisher and colleagues in 2010 found that in-home sex toy parties provided an effective avenue to increase adult sexual literacy, in addition to making products available to women and men. They often help their clients to learn about their bodies and may even connect them with a valuable resource, such as books about sexuality, websites about sexuality, or doctors or therapists in their community who can be helpful in some way. Increasingly, sexual health organizations are recognizing that very important work that these individuals do in helping to enhance the sexual health of women and men and communities worldwide. Yay! Aren't you all excited? Unit 14?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, wait. I'm gonna just look at the interactive activity. Professions of sex for money. So in this, okay, so this section has 5 components for the activity. The unit addresses the concept of sex for money. So we're going to think about and list at least 5 different professions with underlying framework of sex for money, and those professions that involve selling some type of sexual service. So that's including information about sex for money. How do you think contemporary society views individuals who work in such professions? And what are your personal opinions about each? This is easy because didn't the unit go over this different examples of professions doing sex for money? So you want to list them and give your input, answer the questions, right? So that's section 1. Always hit save my answer, then you go to next. I want you to spend some time browsing the internet, watching TV, listening to the radio, or flipping through a magazine. While you look through these various forms of media, begin to make a list of examples where you see sex being used to sell products. How do the media use sex to sell products? What role does gender have in the use of sexuality in advertising? And what kind of impact do you think this has on men and women? In the chapter, several different types of careers in the area of sexuality were identified. Which of these careers do you find most interesting? How do you feel that people who work in these careers have potential to help others? And let's go to 4. Training for sexual health professionals. Sexual health professionals who choose to get certified often need to document ongoing training, education, classes, or professional development that they seek out, that they stay current on knowledge. As someone who works as a sexual health promotion professional, what types of ongoing information or training do you feel are important for such professionals to undertake? What do you do in your own professional life to keep learning more so that you can continue to help others? So that's a good question. Now we're finishing this, right? And 5, congratulations. You've completed the Center for Sexual Health Promotion online health training. To receive a certificate of completion from the center, please provide us with your name in the box, one below and on the box, your mailing address where you would like your certificate sent, including your country, and you should receive the certificate within 5 to 10 days. Isn't that exciting? It tells you how to get your certificate.
Awesome.
So if we finish it this
excited.
week, would that mean we would have it by New Year's?
Hey, that's the goal. They done motivated me. I'm gonna hurry and get these extra activities done.
Yeah, I gotta do them.
Right? So we can
I've got so many activities to finish.
this particular assignment, unit had 5 activities, but all the units, they vary. But I'll be available any day. Just hit me up if anybody needs help getting through the activities.
Okay.
Okay.
But let's do the unit quiz. I don't get too excited. I forgot about that part. We gotta do the quiz. Okay, but yeah, that's good. Hold on. Yeah, so you just want to and make sure you hit the save my answer before you do the submit. Oops. Uh-oh, y'all. Did y'all just see that? Okay, ain't nothing in there, but I made a mistake and hit submit. All right. So we are going to do the 15 questions on this quiz. Let me see. We are on 14. Okay. Television or movie scenes with sexual content often include discussions about safer sex. Is that true or false?
Oh,
Right?
False.
Television and movie scenes do not talk about safe sex. Prostitutes are always forced into sex work due to their circumstance. True or false?
false.
That is false. Well, they gave us many reasons that people do sex for work, but it is not always, because they say always forced.
Right.
So that's the big difference. 3, sexually explicit material leads to sexual violence or aggression in men. True or false?
True.
Explicit material leads to sexual violence.
False.
We'll say false. We haven't had data to provide that as 100% true or mostly true. Men and women tend to get involved with sex work for fairly similar reasons. Do they do it for around the same reason? True or false? It's true. Men
I
and
think
women
so,
get
yeah.
into sex work for about the same reasons. They didn't distinguish many differences. In the United States, some states regulate the sale of sexual enhancement products such as sex toys. True or false?
False.
In the United States, some states regulate the sale of sexual enhancement products such as sex toys. Oh yeah, we got some ladies here that in some states they have restrictions on what we sell. And it's true. Yes. Who knows? Is it someone the southern
regulate that?
Is that somewhere in the Bible Belt or southern states? Somewhere we gotta ask online. Angela, Sharita, one of them, they know. It's some of our ladies got restrictions. They got rules of engagement. Which of the following describes health benefits of sexual expression? Number 6.
All of the above.
Okay, longevity and prolonged life, decrease in immunity and sleep, relationship fluctuation. All of the above are health benefits associated with sexual expression. Now, remember we read that list.
Long life.
What was that?
I said longevity and long life.
Yep, longevity and prolonged life. It didn't say it decreased immunity and sleep. It said it increased immunity and sleep.
Yeah.
So we know that's not the one. And then relationship fluctuation, that is not. So just the first one, longevity and prolonged life. Okay, 7. Which of the following is an accurate precaution parents and children should be aware of regarding internet chat rooms and networks? Never give identifying information about who they are or where they live, go to school, or will be at a certain time. never arrange to meet someone in real life who they met online without involvement of a parent or caretaker, never post pictures of yourself or comments that sexualize who you are. All of the above are important precautions parents and children should keep in mind regarding internet chat rooms.
All
All
of
the
the above.
above.
Yes, we need more parents to really, express this. Okay. Okay, which of the following is not one of the common motives for using prostitutes? Sex for eroticism and variety, sex without commitment, sex away from home, or sex to test one's sexual orientation?
Sex to test one's sexual orientation.
Yes. Although it could be a reason,
That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking.
but it is not one of the common motives. See how they're getting us?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Magazines such as Hustler and Playboy sales are on the uprise due to the increasingly sex positive society, decreasing due to the ease of availability of sexually explicit material online, remaining the same, their core customers are loyal, or on the decline due to shifts in the values of American men. Do y'all remember what they
Remaining the
talked
same.
about?
Decrease due to the ease of availability.
Yep. They're online. Who's going and buying a Playboy magazine?
Not
I
the
mean-
70s anymore.
Someone
many.
can. However, that's not the main go-to when you can sit at home and pull it up on the internet, whether it's
Right.
free or you're paying per view some type of way. Why do you need to? Remember, that was like a major thing, getting your magazines. Guys would get their magazines and stuff, but it's easier nowadays.
Hide them in the toolbox in the garage, under
Yes.
a floorboard.
Yes. Mine was in the attic somewhere. They're like, "What you doing up there?"
Oh, man.
Right.
Getting rid of these raccoons.
Right. Sexually explicit material produces arousal, providing what? The viewer choice. What it says, the viewer chose the materials themselves. Okay. The viewer is watching with a partner. The viewer is male, or the viewer finds the material acceptable. Which one? Sexually explicit material produces arousal, providing what?
The viewer finds
The last one.
The last one. The viewer finds the material acceptable. If you like it, you like it. 11. Which of the following is not an example of ways in which sexuality relates to overall health and well-being? Is it longevity and prolonged life, relationship stability, less psychiatric illness, or increased sexual experience?
Less psychiatric illness.
Oh no, that's well, we want to find what is not an example of ways that sexuality relates to overall health and well-being, but increased sexuality helps with
stability.
psychiatric illness.
Well,
Longevity.
Relationship stability.
I'm telling you, it's probably gonna be a trick one. Let me see. Do I have that one in here?
What is it?
I think
behind it.
Longevity.
Relationship stability.
Not an example of which.
yeah, not an example. So I haven't done this
Overall health
already,
and
so we can
well-being.
see.
Relationship stability.
I put down increased sexual experience because it wasn't one that they listed. Now, I'm gonna put it, but we all gonna get the right answer at the end, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So even though I think that, good sexual health because it says it's not an example of ways sexuality relates to overall health, increased sexual experience. It's not because increased sexual experience ain't helpful. It's just it's not what they listed. But that was my reasoning. But we're gonna see, because this is I didn't do this one in advance. 12. In which state is it not illegal to sell sex? Ooh.
Nevada.
Oh, you said Vegas, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Home of the Bunny Ranch and probably Coyote.
Okay. This term refers to an individual who scientifically, y'all see the typo in there? Stewie sex
Yes.
studies.
Mhm.
I found a lot of typos in the text. That was really messing me up. I could have just ad-libbed a little bit, but sexuality doctors, sexologists and research, sex counselors, therapists, coach, or sexuality educators.
Sexologist research.
Sexologist.
Mhm. So this term refers to the individuals who deal with sexual dissatisfaction and relationship problems. Sexuality
Sex-
doctors,
Therapist.
sexologists, sex counselors, therapy coaches, and sexual educators. And you said,
Sex counselor.
Sex counselor.
yep, the counselor, therapists, and coaches. Yep. All right, and let's do 15. This term refers to individuals who help others access accurate information and learn important skills about sexuality, which can take place in schools, homes, community-based and healthcare organizations, social clubs, and places of worship.
Sexuality educator.
That could be you. That's you. All right. 1 is true. 2 is I didn't say true. 1 is correct. 2 is correct. 3 correct. 4 correct. 5 correct. 6 correct. 7 is correct. 8 is correct. 9 is correct. 10 is correct. 11 is correct. 12 is correct. 13 correct. 14 correct. 15 correct. Look at that. We got 15 out of 15.
We did it.
Yes.
We did it.
We did it. So let me show you, because I showed some of you about the dashboard and I posted, okay? So click on your dashboard, click on your study progress, and then you see where it says more.
Yeah.
And it's going to tell you if you got something missing in order to get complete. So you see, I did all that, but I'm only 94% complete. And you know why? Because let's scroll down here. All those units, I got the lessons complete,
activities.
activity complete, quizzes done, and bam, I got these 3 activities, and they got like 5 parts, 4 parts, 3 parts.
Yeah.
I'm going to get them in.
I have a
Me too.
question.
Yes.
So if you complete it before the 1st of January, like on the phone or whatever, on the site, and then you don't get it mailed out, does it still count as completed, or you would have to get it mailed out for it to count as completed?
You have to, so like, let's say today we did 14, or how we went through and was looking at it and it's asked for all your information. You can have that, but you're going to have these other 2 done before. You have to have all of these done before it's going to send out that certificate. And that has to happen before the 1st of the year.
Okay.
It has to be 100% complete. So even if you did 14 first and filled all that out, that's fine, but it's not going to give you that certificate. It's not going to be on the way in the mail. They're going to be looking for these other 2 to get completed. Because you know how we can do these out of order? Yeah.
Activities,
I hope that answers your question.
Okay.
You got to be 100% in order to get the actual certificate.
Got it. Okay, well, I get that, but I just wanted to know if you completed all that on the site, would it count complete, or it would count complete if they mailed it out to you? That was my question.
Okay, did I answer it? I'm just not sure. I want to make sure I'm
Yes,
understanding.
you
Okay.
did.
Okay, okay.
Just wanted to make sure.
I want to make sure. I'm like, oh, did I get it? Okay. Do you all ladies have any other questions for me?
I do. Have they checked any of the ones that we had to submit? How do you know they checked it?
I think they're pulling our leg, but hey.
Oh, okay. Cool. All right.
I'm not saying that this is not